I just got done watching See How They Run, a brand new movie starring the likes of Saoirse Ronan, Rockwell, Dickinson, and of course Adrien, Brody, and directed by Tom George. Now this is a movie from watching the trailer, if you told me, is this a Wes Anderson movie? I would not blame you, because the trailer very much makes this look like a Wes Anderson film. But this is actually in part directed by Tom George, a new filmmaker that I've never seen from anything before. And I was excited for this movie, and I ended up liking it. But there's something about this movie that just makes me go, it's worth watching once, but is it worth watching again? Before we go as far to say, See How They Run takes place in the West End of 1950s London, where plans for a new movie version of a smash hit play come to an abrupt halt after a pivotal member of the crew is murdered, which now brings about a brand new murder mystery, and it's up to us and the detectives to figure out who had done this. And after watching this movie, this is a film that has a lot of pros to it all, and really not too many cons. It's just kind of one of those films that you watch once, you feel entertained by, but you never really feel like this is that high energy, top tier movie that you deserve every year, and not even one of the surprise ones. This is just a good made movie that is entertaining for the most part. But what I do want to get your guys' thoughts first is down below in the comment section, so make sure to leave your thoughts down below, and as well as hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoy talking movies and TV, because that's what I love doing over here on a daily basis, and I'm very happy to have you guys along for the ride. So starting with every movie review that I love doing, I love talking about the pros. So let's start with the pros, and with that said, the performances here from Rockwell and Saoirse Ronan are phenomenal. I really liked their chemistry with one another, this being the top tier detective and one trying to kind of move up through the ranks of getting to inspector or detective. I can't really remember off the top of my head what they call it, but them two together add to this witty, charming dynamic that really pushes and pulls. And it's not like we haven't seen this dynamic before, but it's one of those cliche ones that you've seen in murder mysteries between two different detectives, and I personally really liked it, and I think both of them are the reason to go see this movie, is just, if for anything, their two performances and just how charming and delightful they are. And that's kind of the whimsical nature of this entire movie, is the tone of it all. Now, while this movie is a murder mystery, the thing with that said is the movie itself is not Wes Anderson like the trailers made you feel. It has Wes Anderson isms, but for the most part, as I was watching this felt very different. It has, again, isms, but it feels like a director in his own reign, even with some of the story choices he made. But it really all comes down to, and I really mean this, into the editing of the film. The editing of the movie is something that I haven't seen in a while from a filmmaker, and perhaps could be a little bit of a risque in the way that they decided to shoot certain shots, because a lot of different moments, when you see a conversation between two people or an interrogation in a murder mystery, you see two people talking and it goes back and forth. Sometimes what this film does is it actually shows you two perpendicular, same perspectives going on at once. One person walking away, one person walking towards that person. And the little hints in there actually all lead into the murder mystery, all given to different clues and evidence. And when you look back at the entire movie, you're like, oh, I should have solved this murder and who had done it a long time ago. And while I did not guess it going in, you might be able to guess it because you're probably way smarter than I am. I really like that I wasn't able to guess the murder in here. And I think that is something that's clever, that when you look back, you're like, oh, I saw this. Okay, these two different ideas kind of all made sense together. And again, the editing of this movie is really splendid, and I really liked how they were able to put that in. And it was risky to do so. Thankfully, within this movie, it doesn't. I think with Tom George's direction in here, I'm actually really excited to see what he does next in the end of the day, because I think he's going to be a filmmaker to look out for in the future. The other thing I do want to talk about when it comes down to See How They Run is the fact that this movie, while it is a murder mystery, in the end of the day, it's a movie more about relationships than anything else. And I think that's where maybe my expectations needed to be checked, and one of the reasons that I kind of found this movie to just be entertaining and not fully investing for me. I had fun with it. I think there's a lot of comedic whimsy to it all, but at times, like I said, you can look back and see, okay, I should have seen who the murderer was this entire time. When you actually look, though, at the entire film and the structure of it all, it is a relationship movie. It's a movie about friends, people who meet each other, and the relationships that you kind of build along the way, the people that you meet, the people discussing, why does someone want to murder these people? What is the relationship between each and every one of these people? And that is one of the things that I think murder mysteries can get a little bit issued with, is because they focus in sometimes too much on that and not enough on the mystery to give, perhaps. And I really do think in recent memory, the best murder mystery is Knives Out, because it actually balanced all that. It gives us clues while at the same time investigating this family and building off the relationships. But when I look at like Death on the Nile or Murder on the Orient Express, which I like, and again, very Agatha Christie style, and this movie is heavily an homage to old school murder mystery movies, old school murder mystery stories, and also just Agatha Christie himself. It's a love letter to those, and I think people who love murder mysteries are really going to dig that. But when it comes down to me, I do like when they add those little nuances to make us follow along a little bit easier and actually enjoy ourselves throughout the ride and actually focus in on both things at once and not just one more than the other. And that's my one thing, is that while I like that they did that, I wasn't expecting that. And I do want to get your expectations in check for when you see this movie. That's where I go as far to say I think See How They Run is a fun and entertaining movie, but it's not one that I found to be too memorable. There's laughs, there's jokes, there's smiles to be had, and there's even a murder mystery to find out who murdered this person. And it has good performances as well, great direction too. This is just one of those movies that I go in, I watch, I found enjoyable, and I didn't find much else to the entire film itself. So that's why overall I'm going to give See How They Run a B. I wasn't blown away from this one, but I do think that some of you guys will absolutely enjoy it. So thank you so much again for watching this. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, comment down below your guys' thoughts. What's your favorite murder mystery to solve or watch or anything of that nature? And of course, guys, make sure to also head on over to Sian Films on how to see films early. But of course, until next time, stay classy.